What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fairway to Heaven, 9 o'clock, 9:08, as always, on Tuesday nights here on DSM Media. Make sure you're tapped into DSM Media on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're on Facebook now. I even think Scotty made a TikTok account for DSM Media. We're everywhere. This is my third show in 4 hours here that I'm doing here on DSM Media tonight. So we're all living the dream. That's Jason Sullivan. Again, I'm Phil Stiefel. Sorry for the delay getting started tonight. We're still waiting for our guest, Arti Bets, to come on. Not sure what's holding up, but as soon as he jumps in, we'll add him to the stream here. We got lots to get into this week. It's the chase. It's the final stretch as we get to the playoffs, to the FedEx Cup playoffs and the Tour Championship. So this week we've got, people coming back over from the Olympics. Xander Schauffele, huge gold medal win for the U.S., which was great. I know Jason's not a huge Olympic golf fan, but we'll get into that in a second. But we got the St. Jude FedEx WGC event down there in Memphis, Tennessee. So welcome to the show. Make sure you tap in, click follow, share, all that stuff. Comment in the comment section. Any questions for your golf, betting or fantasy lineups this week. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Kind of missed you last week. Haven't talked to you in a couple weeks,
so
and at least not live. We text each other, but it's not the same. It's not live. So yeah, I'm glad to be back this week, ready to go. Like you said, the Olympics are fun to watch. I don't know. I just wasn't super into betting with them or DFS purposes or anything like that. But yeah, I'm glad to be back this week. Like you said, final push for the FedEx Cup, so I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not into the Olympics and stuff like that. But winning the gold medal for Xander, a guy that has struggled to win the quote-unquote major events, it's got to be a little bit of a confidence boost for his game, doesn't it?
He was so money, too, down the stretch. I mean, he played exactly how we always think he can play in a major. And at some point, and that right there showed you why. I mean, he's so solid all around. He's good tee to green. His irons are good. When he putts, he's, pretty much unbeatable. So he was pretty much flawless down the stretch last week.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm happy for him. I'm not really sure how I feel about him this week. It's a question I really wanted to ask Arti, so hopefully when he gets here we can ask him about it. But the hangover. Now, we haven't really had that problem. We talked about with the Open Championship where the people would, have a major champion traveling across the pond, any bit of a jet lag or let down the following week. But the Olympics, on the other hand, coming from Tokyo to Memphis, Tennessee, that's a big trip.
That's a hike. Yeah.
Xander just got there yesterday afternoon or this afternoon. I think it was actually. So it's not even like he's had time to really decompress any. He's just like right from Tokyo to Tennessee. So I think there is a little bit more to it this week than other weeks, in my opinion.
I think so too. I'm not really a big fade the travel guys usually, but I feel like you're right. I mean, that's a brutal trip, and that's a long trip, and plus the mental wear and tear of you're in a hunt for the Olympics. It means so much to you and your family, and you're so excited about it. You finally wrap it up. You celebrate, I'm sure, quite a bit, and then all of a sudden you got to turn around and play again. So obviously, if this wasn't a WGC, he wouldn't be playing this week. Yes. But here we are. So he's playing.
Yeah, so it's a WGC event. It's a very small invitational field. It's about 65, 66 players in the field. There's no cuts. So everybody's making the cuts. So it kind of gives you the ability to kind of, take some chances and not worry about them missing the cut. But also only 66 players. It's a really deep field. There's some really tough decisions when crafting your lineups this week. The TPC Southwind, it's a longer par 70. I got it just over 7,200 yards. Some really long par fours on this course. Some wind or some water and some sand comes into play. What are your thoughts on the course as a whole, and what are you looking at player-wise this week?
So not just some water. This is actually the most.
I was underappreciating that a little bit there.
The most water balls of any course on tour, I believe. So there's a lot of water this week. So yeah, like you said, kind of the same thing. It's a longer par 70. There's some key stats I think this week that a lot of people are going to be on. A lot of people are going to be tee to green, ball striking, approach. I think there's some tricky ones too that I'm going to go with. I'm going to really weigh scrambling a lot this week.
Okay.
And I'm also going to go with opportunities gained. I'm going to weigh that quite a bit because you're going to want birdie makers, but you're also going to want guys that are going to give themselves chances to make, birdie eagle. And then par 4 from 450 to 500 yards. I'm going to key in on that as well. And actually, another stat I'm going to weigh a little bit is going to be driving accuracy too, because I think that's key. It's not huge. Like, you're not going to want to overweight that stat or anything like that, but I think you are going to want guys that are pretty accurate off the tee.
Yeah, I mean that
Okay,
was one of the ones
not
that I wrote
Bryson.
down that's underappreciated the most. 450 to 500 yard par 4 efficiencies there, because you got a lot of longer par 4s for sure on this course. I also wrote down, because as you talk about iron play, you're not as this course. It's longer for a par 70 course, but you're not penalized if you're outside of the fairway as much as other courses. You will be penalized, but not as much.
Definitely.
So I was looking at that 125 to 200 yard iron play. Also, you got some longer par 3s. So I think that was interesting. I actually think this is a week where we always just kind of skip over shots gained total. And I think this week, because of the course, you can just look at shots gained total and get a pretty good idea of the players you should be playing in your player pool this week.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Shots gained total, DraftKings points, things like that. You're going to want guys that can put up points. So DraftKings points is going to be obviously depending on which site you use, but I use Fantasy National and they use DraftKings points. So yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Points, that's another good thing there because no cuts. Everybody makes the weekend. So you'll see guys in the DraftKings player list that's 10 to 20 cuts made. I'm just using it as an example. So their average points per round might be, or per tournament might be lower. But kind of like think about it. All right, so they're averaging 50 points an event, but they're missing the cut most weeks. So that's 25 points a round over a 4-round event because they're going to make the cut. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at 100 points. So you kind of got to look at those aspects of it, and I've done that a little bit this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also guys, too, Cam Davis comes to mind, who always kind of seem to outscore their finishing position. So he might finish 25th, but he might score, in the top 15. So you're going to want guys that can score in bunches. Definitely.
Absolutely. So a couple other random stats. I brought up some of them before the show. Things I think that are interesting, and I think you need to take into account when you're building your lineups and placing your bets this week. So first off, betting-wise, so the last 9 WGC stroke play events have all been won by former major champions. And 24, where's my notes here? I forgot it now. 24 of the last 26 stroke play WGC events, all won by former major winners. So that tells you when you're placing your bets this week, 9 times out of 10, your outright bet better be a former major champion because that's where we're looking at.
That's an awesome stat. So yeah, obviously you told me that before the show. I didn't know that. So that changes some things for me for sure. But yeah, that's a great point in terms of betting this week. So I was actually looking at my bets after you asked me that, or after you told me that, and all of my outright bets are all former major champions, so that makes me feel good.
You're good to go then.
Yeah, even though I didn't know that at the time.
Okay, all right. Another thing, this event has been going on for a while, but it's only the last 2 years here at this course. And only 4 guys, well, not only, 4 guys have finished in the top 12 or better both years. And top 12, normally you're ecstatic with top 12. There's only 65, 66 players in the field. So top 12 isn't like amazing, but at least that would be almost borderline making the cut in a 150 field event. And they are Brooks Koepka, JT, Webb Simpson, and Matthew Fitzpatrick. A couple of major champion winners in that, group as well. So lots of different things at this course because this course has had other events at it. It's had an event for the last 30 plus years at this course. 3 guys have won a combined 5 times there in the last few years. Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and Daniel Berger. Daniel Berger, not a major champion yet, but Brooks and DJ, obviously. So I think there's a lot of interesting stats to look at when you're looking at a 66-person field. So, I mean, if you're ready, we could dive right into the DraftKings, player pool here. It scares me because there's a lot of guys at the 10K and above range, and they're all guys I love. They're all former major champions except for Xander Schauffele. And they're all guys I want to play. So how do you build a player pool when all your favorite plays are all super expensive?
That's the hardest part about this week is, like you said, you're going to want to balance the guys that you want to play, but then you're looking at guys like Brooks Koepka, which everyone's going to play. He's approaching 30% ownership. So it's going to be tough this week. honestly, at the top range, there isn't that much to differentiate these guys. Obviously, Brooks has the course history. Jordan Spieth is probably playing the best overall right now. Schauffele came off of the gold medal, so there's a lot of different factors. I feel like there isn't too many guys that are playing bad above 10K right now. I feel like there's some interesting plays in this range, though. DJ is actually one that sticks out to me, not because necessarily of anything the way he's playing. He's been playing better, not great for DJ standards, but better. But he has good course history here, and he seems like a guy that might be lower owned that could easily pop this week or any week for that matter.
Yeah, DJ was in my maybe player pool for that exact reason. He's playing better for sure. He jumps out. He's number one in shots gained total currently. Mm-hmm. I forget whether I did the last 24, 36 rounds here, but he's played well. A comparable course that's not getting a lot of talk is Pebble Beach. He's really great at Pebble Beach. He checks off. He makes the top 10 in a whole bunch of different stat categories that I like this week. But again, it's he's 10-2. That's cheap for him. Jordan Spieth, it's so hard to differentiate, as you said, all 6 of these guys up here. If anything, you kind of got to cross off Xander Schauffele first and foremost, in my opinion. Coming back from the Olympics, he's coming off that high win. He's got, good history here and in WGC events, but I don't know. I think that's the first one off my list, in my opinion.
No, I think so too. I think even if he didn't win last week, say he would have gotten 4th place or something last week, I think I still would have had the same stance on him. Yeah. Of the top, he's definitely my least favorite.
I'm also going to stay away from Rory probably, because again, if you're going to say DJ hasn't performed up to standards this year, then you're definitely going to have to say the same thing about Rory McIlroy. 46th at the Open, 59th at the Irish Open, missed the cut at the Scottish Open. He did okay at the U.S. Open with a top 10 finish. He won the Wells Fargo, but T49 at the PGA Championship, missed the cut at the Masters, missed the cut at the Players, at TPC Sawgrass. So right off the bat, Xander and Rory, in my opinion, are no plays.
So question about Rory for you. So say he comes in at like 9 or 10% ownership. Does that change your opinion when the rest of the guys are around 20?
You're trying to change my opinion on it, but
I'm just asking. So. I'm not trying to change your opinion.
We kind of hinted on it before the show, and I'd like to talk it out live to the crowd, is that ownership percentage is a little skewed this week. You said, was it Brooks or Spieth was going to be like 30% owned, right?
Brooks. Yeah, Brooks.
Approximate 30% owned. But how would you rate that? So 30% owned out of 66 people. You translate that into a 150 maybe field, 125 person field. It might be a little bit different.
Probably 18 or so.
Exactly. So is 18% in a normal field when you're picking someone you think can win the event okay? We'd say maybe. Yeah. So is 30% okay? What's your cutoff in a small field like that?
I don't necessarily have a cutoff. I'm more concerned with the overall lineup construction. So I know we've talked about this before on the show, but I could care less if the guy's 30% owned in this. If I think he's a good play, I'm going to play him 100% of the time. And I think the key is you can differentiate yourself in other places. Obviously, you can't play Brooks and then come back with, I don't even know, Scheffler or somebody like that because your lineup's going to be uber chalk. So be careful.
I told you before the show, I built a test lineup with Colin Morikawa, Brooks Koepka, and Jordan Spieth in it. So I found a way to squeeze all 3 of my favorite guys into one lineup. I'm not sure how. I had to hack the system somehow, but I figured it out.
Yeah. So who is your ultimate favorite in this range then?
Jordan Spieth, I would say. Originally, his odds have gone down a little bit. He's now 12-1. He was originally 17-1. I think at 10-4, I think Spieth will probably, out of the 3, I like Morikawa, I like Spieth, and I like Brooks. But I think Spieth will probably be the lowest owned out of them. Am I right?
They have Spieth at 21 and Morikawa at 18. So,
all right, so Morikawa a little bit less. But I could definitely be happy with Spieth at 21% in this field. I think I was writing it down here, that I should try to get Morikawa in 7 to 10 lineups and Spieth into 8 to 10 lineups. So, it's by a hair. But again, going back to that winning a major, Spieth and Morikawa, 2 of the best golfers, have won majors, have won this year, play well in these kind of courses. They check so many boxes. I guarantee you every single one of my lineups will have either Morikawa or Spieth in it, and I will find ways to overlap the 2.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely like that.
So who's your favorite then?
Brooks is my favorite, even with the ownership. His course history here, you just can't you can't even argue with. T2, win, and 5th in his last 3 times here. He had a T6 at the Open and a T5 at the Traveler. So he's playing really good golf right now. 2nd tee to green in the field, 2nd in approach, and 3rd in DK points over the last 50 rounds. So I think even with the 30%, I think he's probably going to be my highest owned guy. And I'm going to probably be really overweight on that too. I don't know how many lineups I'm going to play this week, but I would say Brooks will probably be in like 60 or 70% of my lineups this week. I'm going to go big on him, I think.
I love Brooks a lot too this week. So, I mean, I'm looking at my 7 test lineups I built. 1, 2, 3, 4 of my 7 test lineups already have Brooks in them. So it's just really hard this week because, you know, normally you got 4 or 5 in the 10K range, 6 or 7 in the 9K range. But when you have 125 players, there's value elsewhere. There's 16 or 18 of the 66 golfers are 9K or above. So it really makes lineup construction really difficult this week. So we go into the 9K range. You got JT, you got Victor Hovland, you got Oost, one of the hottest golfers on tour. You got Bryson, you got Decky, you got Cantlay, you got Berger, you got Scheffler, and you got Casey. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. In my player pool, my for sure player pool, I've only got 2 of these names in it. So I'll let you go and see if they're the same or if you've got some guys in my maybe list here that you like to play.
So I have 2 that stand out. I think they're both going to be very highly owned. The first one's Louis. Just the way he's been playing lately. I don't know if there's a golfer in better form right now than him. Shout out to our boy Brian, who loves Usti. He plays him every week. He bets him every week. He loves Usti.
Bets him $1 million every
no
single
matter
week.
what. Yeah, I love Louis in this field too. The other one's Victor Hovland. I really like T12 at the Open, so he's coming in decent form. 10th tee to green, 4th in DK points, and 3rd in birdie or better. There's a huge emphasis this week on tee to green play, and not many people are better tee to green than Victor Hovland. So I like him a lot this week. Those are probably my 2 favorites. Kind of an under the radar. I don't know if it's going to be under the radar. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't go that far. But maybe a guy that's not getting as much hype this week is Paul Casey. I really like him. T15 at the Open, T36 at the Traveler. So he's playing decent right now. 7th tee to green, 4th in approach, and 12 in DK points. So I really like him. I think Scheffler is kind of in that same price range, and I think he's going to be super popular this week. So I don't mind him as a pivot off of Scheffler, Paul Casey, that is.
Okay.
Who are your favorites in this range?
I have Oost. I lied. I don't have 2. I got 3 9K guys. Oost was one of them. I didn't have Hovland or Casey on either my definite or maybe list. But I've got my definite list. I got Scotty Scheffler. I know he's going to be chalk. I know he's going to be highly owned. Yep. He's not going to be in 10 to 20 lineups because of that ownership percentage. I'll sprinkle him in 20% of my lineups approximately. But I love Scotty Scheffler's game. And again, I brought it up. Let me bring up my stats here again. Daniel Berger has won on this course before. Another event, not a WGC event, but he's 9,200. He's great in that 125 to 200 range. So I like him for that as well. Thought I had him in a second stat. Comparable courses, all the different comparable courses. You know, he's top 10 strokes gained in all of those overall. So, you know, I do like Daniel Berger this week. And I think because he isn't a major champion, he might have a tick down on the ownership percentage.
So he's not. He's at 24% ownership is what it's projected at. Wow. That's high, I feel like, for him.
That's very high for Daniel Berger for a non-major winner in an event that's only won by
right.
winners.
Well, and then we're talking about ownership so much. You have Brooks at 28%, we said. Mm-hmm. Brooks, a guy who's a proven major champion, proven he can do really well at this course, versus Berger, who's a good player. He's not a great player. He's a good player at this point. And yeah, he's got a lot of upside, but do I want Berger at 25, almost 25%? Probably not.
Yeah. That's a tough call right there. I mean, I'm still going to sprinkle in Berger once or twice and not worry about the ownership percentage. But yeah, I mean, again, all these great guys and great plays in the 9K and 10K range, as we continue to go down this list, it's going to get harder and harder. But I got to ask one more. This is going to be the second week out of the last 3 because we didn't do any lineups last week. Second week in a row that my favorite golfer, Bryson DeChambeau, is not in my player pool. And he had to withdraw from the Olympics because of COVID. I kind of feel like that might light a fire under him. It gave him an extra week to kind of reset mentally, figure out his caddy situation, his equipment situation, since he likes to throw them under the bus as well. He's really becoming a sour little baby right now, Bryson. Yeah. But only 66 people. Side tangent. There's a better chance we might see a Bryson and Brooksy on Saturday. I hope we do.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
There's a good chance of that this week. All should we definitely be fading Bryson this week?
I don't know how you play him this week. His course history is terrible here. I just don't think he's a good course fit. But at the same time, he's going to be 7% owned, they're saying. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to do it. And I always try to find reasons to play Bryson. I know he's your favorite golfer. He's one of my favorite DFS golfers. So I try to play him as often as I can. I just don't know. I can't even talk myself into it this week.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm looking at the DraftKings odds right now. I am writing it down right now. I'm probably going to bet Bryson to win. He's at 35-1.
Wow, that's
and he is a former major champion, so he doesn't have good course history. But that one check mark,
he's just one of those guys too that like any given week he can come out and just dominate. He's that good. So
and the par fours that are 450 to 500. There's a par four that's 505 yards on the card. That's not going to bother him. So 35-1. He probably, if any, will make one lineup. But at 35-1, you better bet your cookies. I'm making a bet right there on 35-1 for Bryson DeChambeau.
Bet your cookies.
I was going to say something else, but we'll keep it clean and all.
You're right.
I can't use the bet the house because somebody else already uses bet the house every week. So I'm going to bet the cookies. So
gotcha.
Any other of these guys that you think to stay away from? Cantlay, JT, anything like that this week?
JT's probably a fade for me this week. I don't mind Cantlay. Cantlay's so hard for me to predict. I feel like I never get Cantlay right for some reason. It's like when he's the obvious play, he ends up missing the cut. So I might play a little bit of Cantlay this week. I probably won't be on JT though. I love the top half of the 8K range, so I'm probably gonna go down to that quite a bit. I think
I like a few guys. I won't say the top half because fifth place Finau is never my guy. But yeah, the 8K range. Tony Finau leads it off at 8,900. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Patrick Reed, Shane Lowry, Webb Simpson, Joakim Niemann, Abraham Answer, Cam Smith, Connors, Fleetwood. Zalatoris is in the 7. Okay, so we stop at Fleetwood there. You say you love it, the top half. Are you telling me you love Tony Finau this week?
I do love Tony Finau this week. I love Tony Finau in strong fields always, and no cut event even better. So I like Finau. He's a scorer. But my favorite guy in this range is going to be this week's winner, Patrick Reed. I love him this week. Wow. I think he fits well for this course. I think the travel obviously worries me a little bit. He played well on Sunday. He shot a 65 on Sunday, so that's obviously good. But he's coming for the Olympics, so he's going to be traveling quite a bit too. I have a feeling this week with him, and I feel like his game is kind of rounding into form a little bit. So I like him a lot this week. Also like Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's been really good the last 2 years here. T6 and a T4. T26 at the U.S. Open. His stats are decent across the board. Nothing really pops a lot, but I just think that, especially with the course history here, I like him as a top 10 bet this week.
Yeah, I'm huge on Patrick Reed this week. I love him. Not to win, obviously not a major champion before, but top 10. I could definitely.
He is a major champion. He won the Masters.
What?
He won the Masters a few years ago.
Did I? Did I miss that one?
Yep.
All right. Anyway. Top 10 bet. He is, where is it? Plus 200, 2-1 to finish in the top 10. I think that's a steal of a bet. I love Abraham Answer. These iron play courses, tough courses. I love him in all those type of events. And at 8,300, he's just a smidge cheaper than everybody else. Shane Lowry as a former major champion. I don't love him this week, but I like him this week. You already said Fitzpatrick because I do love him. Webb Simpson, I don't mind. I always worry about his back in any event. And Joakim Niemann, I'm really stuck on him this week. I want to love him this week at 8,400. I really do.
I want to love him.
5,900 at the Open, second at the Rocket. He's only missed one cut out of his last 12 events. So he's a guy that I think can really be a top 10 guy this week.
So what you're saying is he's going to make the cut this week?
He's definitely making the cut this week.
He's for what it's worth, only 9% projected ownership this week too. So
I love it even more. You say 9%.
Yeah. You might have talked me into him a little bit. I might play a little bit of Niemann.
He is in my for sure player pool. Him and Answer were in the for sure. Shane Lowry and all the others were in the maybe. But yeah, I love Niemann this week a lot.
Yeah, I can dig that for sure.
He was actually in the top of one of my key stats here. If I could find it quickly. He's in the top of the 125 to 200 yards. So iron play, obviously really good for him. I thought I had him in a second one of my stat sheets here, but that was the main one that he did really well in. I think Niemann could set up well for this course. Again, probably not a major, or probably not a winner of the event, but at 8,400 at 9%.
Yeah,
heck,
I don't mind
you
that.
might be even anchor a lineup with him right there and make that your first pick.
Yeah. Whoa. I like it.
Do you get to go first when we build lineups, or do I?
No, you do.
All right, so I'm foreshadowing. I'm taking Neiman with my first pick. Okay.
I like it.
All right. So any of these other guys, Corey Connors is in my maybe pool.
Yes, Corey Connors is a definite yes for me. I don't know how I forgot to mention him, but he has decent course history. T15 at the Open, third tee to green, third approach, second driving accuracy, and second greens in regulation. He is really popping this week, I feel like, in stat models, and he's gonna be super popular this week. But I love Corey Connors. I play him a lot on DraftKings, so he'll definitely be. I'll definitely be very overweight on him this week. He's actually probably going to be my second highest owned golfer after Brooks this week.
Do you think that his ownership percentage overall go down? I mean, he has missed 2 of his last 3 cuts.
I can see what his ownership is projected.
Does that affect his ownership percentage? And even before that, 53. His deep run or his really great run was early in the season, and he has tailed off a little bit. But I still think he checks all the boxes this week.
So they're saying 14% owned. I bet he's higher than that. I bet he's around 17 or 18. I'd be willing to bet. But that doesn't really bother me too much in this field. I feel like he's the best of this range for sure. So I like him a lot this week. Tee to green, he's so good tee to green with his iron. So he can't putt at all, but obviously we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, I got you on that. All right, let's get into the 7K range, because I've spent more time dissecting the 6 and 7K range than normal. Because I love the top end so much, I've got to find play. I got to force myself to love plays in this, 7K range. So we'll just, there's not as many names because it's a smaller field. So I'm just going to run them all down real quick. You got Zalatoris, Kokrak, Sung Jae, Harris English, Brian Harman, Hatton, Garcia, Scott, Horschel, Leishman, Rose, and Poulter. You can go first if you want.
Why don't you go first in this range? Because I went first in the last one.
Well, first, Harman and Kokrak are my 2 favorite, but I have a couple other in there. Kokrak, great if birdies are better, top 5 in that. I really think he can play well. He's had a great season overall. He's kind of tailed off as late, but I think at 7,800, Kokrak is a for sure play for me, and Brian Harman as well. He's in multiple of my stats here. Says to play Brian Harman this week. So I'm rolling with them. In the 7K range, they'll probably be my 2 top clicked guys.
So it's weird to say this, but I completely 100% agree with you.
There you go.
Kokrak, for all the reasons you just mentioned. Harman, he's been kind of sneaky, one of the better players, I feel like, on tour this year consistently. He's first in scrambling, 15th birdie or better, and 4th in fairways gained. So I feel like he fits well. I'm seeing 9% ownership for him too, which I'm actually really surprised that he's not higher in this field. I like Harman's
looking at his list here. Harman, 19th cut, 5th, 19th, 8th cut, 18th, 13th, 12th, 3rd. The guy scored, or the guy makes cuts, and he finishes in the top tier. But what I'm
Is he going to win? Is he going to win? No, but you don't need him to win at 7,500.
A TPC course, the Players Championship, 3rd place. Mm-hmm. But I'm not even looking at the 3rd place. I'm looking at the 105 points scored, fantasy points scored. I'm looking at the Open Championship on a tough course, 82 points scored. He missed the cut one week, still had 28 points, which would be a 56 point scored, 94 points, 73 points. The guy he's not a bomber per se. He still scores fantasy points.
Yeah, he does.
That's what you want in a guy. In this event, you want guys that are going to score points because everybody's making the cut. Yep. I think Brian Harman checks that box.
Yep. I like Sergio a bit this week too. I was hoping he would be a little bit lower owned. This week I'm seeing 17%, so that's not low owned at all. But
hold on a second. Did you say 17%?
17, yeah.
He was in my maybe list, and I wanted you to convince me to take Sergio this week. But
I loved Sergio last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't play Sergio ever, and I played him not last week, but 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to play him a lot this week too. Tee to green, he's been really good. He just can't putt at all, which we know that's always been a problem for him. But at some point, if he can even putt somewhat okay, that'd be great.
Since missing 4 cuts in a row, he's been a 20. He hasn't finished outside the top 25 in the last 5 weeks that he's played on tour. And he's outside of 1 week, he's been 75 to 85 points every single week.
Yeah.
So, man, I was really hoping you came in with like dude, he's going to be like a 3% owned number. So I
was hoping the same thing.
Him over into that for sure list, you know,
yep, I was
right
thinking
away.
the same thing.
Ah, man, that breaks my heart a little bit. That leaves a question mark in my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
So what about some of these other names? Harris English is a guy that I think could perform well this week. Billy Horschel. I think Billy Horschel at 7,100 might be high owned for his stature. What are your thoughts on those guys?
21%, and Horschel is going to be at 9%. Horschel actually, his best. I like Horschel probably better than those two this week. Horschel's best putting surface is Bermuda, so it's like a sneaky play. Again, he's not going to win, but if everyone's going to be on English, I could pivot off and be on Horschel and be just fine. I think this week.
I think that's a smart play there. Then, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, but see that again. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 names in the 7K range.
Right.
And if you really love your top tier guys, you're really going to have to pick the right ones. And it's going to be really tough to pick from that group.
Right.
Because again, how many of them are major winners in that bottom, in that 7K range,
Sergio.
Justin Rose, are we playing Justin Rose this week in a withdraw in a no cut event? You still got to worry about withdrawals. So Justin Rose can always withdraw. So
Rose is a no for me.
Yeah, Rose is a no for me too. He's not even in my maybe list.
I didn't even know he was in the field, to be honest with you.
Great research, reading all 66 names there. All you had to do, it's not like you had to read 165 names. You had to read 66 names, and you didn't even see his name on there.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one. Sorry.
All right, let's drop down into the 6K range here before we start building lineups here on the air live. So everybody tuning in now as we're getting here later, make sure you're liking and subscribing to all the different channels on DSM Media. We're going to build our lineups right here on the air shortly. Then we're going to make our final bets and all, but we're into the 6K range. And again, like I said, I made a lineup with 3 of the 10K and above guys, which meant I had to take 3 guys at an even 6K to balance out my lineup. Where do you go in the 6K range? There is one major champion in the 6K range for sure. Where are you going in the 6K range?
So I'll be honest with you, I don't have any slam dunk have to play guys in the 6K range this week. Matthew Wolff intrigues me because of what he can be. The problem is, he was so bad in his last tournament off the tee, and that really scares me a lot. But if the decent Matt Wolff shows up, he loves big field, tough field events, and he's a scorer. So I think I might play him for some upside. I like Ryan Palmer this week, and I was really hoping that nobody else would. But then, of course, I listened to Pat Mayo today, and he was talking about Ryan Palmer being a sleeper, so he'll be probably at least 10% owned now. But he was T15 here last year. He's a scorer. I like him on this course a lot. And then I have a couple gut feels on this course, and the stats don't necessarily line up for these guys, but Kisner's one of them. He has really good course history here. And then Carlos Ortiz. I just think it's hard to explain with Carlos. I feel like he's a scorer, but I feel like he's also better than he's played recently. Like he played pretty good at the Olympics. But I just feel like he's a talented player, and it's like he's on the cusp of breaking through. So I like him as like a sneaky under-owned play this week.
All right. So the first 2 names I look at, I'm off of Wolff. What he could be, the way you described Matthew Wolff, that's great in a bigger field. In this field, when you have to really nail down these 6K guys, I'm just going to stay away from Wolff. Kisner, maybe. But 2 names I'm jumping out the top half of the 6K first. Robert McIntyre. I know he missed the cut to 3M, but the guy's been playing amazing golf this year. Outside of that, he's only missed 2 cuts all season long. So Robert McIntyre will be one of the first 6K guys that I click on. Sneaky play. He might be 20% owned. He might be 2% owned. I have no clue. But since it's a no-cut event, I might be sprinkling in a little Phil Mickelson this week.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Again, a major champion. How many WGC events has he played in his life? I didn't even look it up, but I'm sure he's won a few WGC events in his career. So I think he could be a sneaky play or not. Maybe everybody's going to pick him, but I'll 5%. Be sprinkling 5%. Dude, that's a lock for me then in my player pool if Mickelson's 5% owned. Because again, you don't have to worry about missing the cut. Say he even shoots 2 or 3 over the first couple rounds. He can go off and get hot on a Saturday or Sunday and put up a 66 or 64. hit a bunch of birdies, get hot,
Right.
play to the crowd, and then
Right.
you're great. So
Yeah.
I like him. And then that's it. The top half of the 6K range. I got some lower end 6K range guys, but I want your thoughts on some other guys that are on my maybe list: Cam Davis, Sam Burns, and Cam Champ.
Sam Burns, I think, is going to be super highly owned. I think he's going to be like 17, 18%. I don't mind him, though. Any event that's a scoring event, I like Sam Burns in it. Champ is probably a no for me. I don't know if he can necessarily pop 2 weeks in a row or 2 tournaments in a row, I should say. Who was the third one?
Again, no cut, though. So Cam Champ, if he has a couple bad rounds, it doesn't mean
right.
Cut. Then that was my thought. The same thought process of Mickelson is what I was going with Cam Champ. Was if he misses the cut a lot, but on the flip side of the equation, he's not going to miss the cut, so he's going to score. So
right. Cam Davis was your third one. I actually like Cam Davis probably the best out of that one. I want to see what his ownership is right now, actually, while we're looking at it. So they have him at 6%. Oh, wow, 6%. So he's a scorer. He can't putt at all, but we know that. He's a little bit wild off the tee, but the dude scores. I mean, and that's what we really need in the WGC. So he's a guy that he may finish 25th, but maybe he could score in the top 20, 18, 20 overall. So yeah, I like Cam Davis, probably the best of those guys.
Okay. Moving down, 6,500 and below. There's actually a lot of names down here. Some people recognize, some people have never heard of. You got Sink and you got Kevin Na, and Lucas Glover, KH Lee. I'm going to throw the first name that jumped off at me, and I won't take credit. I saw this in somebody else's, reports. So I looked him up and I put him on my list because he's made 5 cuts in a row. In all those 5 cuts. What?
The Herminator?
Who?
No, never mind.
No, not the Herminator. No, okay. Aaron Rai or Roy Rai.
Yeah.
R-A-I.
Right.
Don't know who he is. The guy, I guess, he's been playing really good golf lately. 60 to 75 points. He's only 6,300. Again, helps you with those top heavy guys. That's where I'm going in this range. Where are you at in this 62 to 65 range?
I'm probably not going to dip down this low, to be honest with you. I know KH Lee's getting some hype this week. And then Stuart Sink, I think, will be decently owned too. I'm not huge on either one of those guys. Lucas Herbert, I don't mind him this week. If I was going to go down this far, I'd probably go with Herbert, but I don't think I'm going to play anybody this low.
Well, I wanted to build a lineup with Morikawa, Brooks, and Spieth in it, so
so you're going to have to go this low
and look at these guys.
Right.
So I'm going to throw a couple other names out here that I was looking at. You said Herman. So in the 6K range, so I picked in building my lineup the last 3 6K guys. I picked Jim Herman. Okay, cool. Jim Herman, a T20, T28, T25, T26, last 4 PGA Tour events. Not awful. At the Barbasol, he scored 100 points, 100 fantasy points at the Barbasol. So, obviously the guy can score some points.
He's good. Tee to green. He's good. He's a good player.
Exactly. I'm going to skip over the one guy. I'm going to go to the last guy on the list, Wade Ornsby. I just picked him because I needed a 6K guy. Didn't know anything about him. But hey, last 2 events on the Euro Tour. T10 at the Kazoo Open, T12 at the Scottish Open. Missed the cut at the Irish, made the cut at the BMW, made the cut at the U.S. Open. That's
so. Are you really going to play him?
His last WGC event, the Workday, made the cut.
Are you really going to play him?
Did you want a 6K guy there with Wade Ornsby?
If you're going to play him, I'll play him in one lineup.
I'm going to play him in one lineup because I am going to enter my 3 max and 3 6K guys. So
gotcha.
I'm playing him.
Okay, I'll play him in one lineup.
So
never even heard of him until 2 seconds ago.
So I don't even know how to. So a lot of these guys down here, I don't know them. I don't know their names, anything. But third in the last 24 rounds, shots gained in the 450 to 500 proximity. Third overall is at 6K here, in between second to last, Nienbauer from South Africa.
Never heard of him either.
That? He's in a top 10, top 5 in shots gained.
Wilco
I have no idea what his name is. Wilco. Niebuhr.
Yeah.
I never heard of the guy. But, T31 at Barbasol, scored 103 points at that. U.S. Open, he made the cut at. The Palmetto, top 15. He's got some 33s and 28s on his, scorecard this year. I don't know why. But he's going to be
like Wilco.
Lineup. Maybe 2.
You like Wilco. There you go.
I like Wilco. So that's all there. Any other names you want to throw out there? Matt Jones, Perez, Garrett Higo. Everyone was all over the Higo train for a while, and I really don't know why. He had one really good event, the one he won, the Palmetto. But outside of that, his outside of Europe, he's really not been that good of a golfer lately.
No, it's a no for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's build some lineups.
Yeah, let's build some lineups. So first, before we build lineups, I do want to run over a couple of the pre-tested lineups I built here, just to give you an opinion or get your opinion on how I did it. So minimal research, okay? I just did the first couple stats. I did my first things before I go deep, and I build one lineup. It's my first lineup. I always enter my first build, no matter what. In my first lineup, I didn't start with 3 big-time guys. I started with 2. I started with Morikawa and Jordan Spieth to anchor my lineup. Then I went Abraham Answer. So again, I was spending a lot of money there. So then I went Billy Horschel, Phil Mickelson, and the Ray guy, because the Ray guy was 6,300 and I needed something for cheap. I only had 6,600 left at that point, so I picked Ray. It left 300 on the table. So basically, I'm banking on Morikawa, Spieth, and Answer, and hoping Mickelson and Horschel have lightning in a bottle for 2 rounds.
Right.
Thoughts on that? Was I off base on my initial thought process?
No, I don't hate that, to be honest with you. I don't love Mickelson this week, but I mean, you obviously didn't have much to work with. So,
right. I had 6,600 left to split between 2 guys. I went Mickelson and I went Ray. So, that's where I went because it was my initial thought. So then I built another lineup, and I only picked 2 9K guys, and everybody below. So I went middle levels here. So I anchored my lineup with, and I don't think any of these guys are going to win outright, but I picked with Scotty Scheffler and Daniel Berger to start it. Then I went Lowry, went Fitzpatrick, Harris English, then another one of those guys, Nienbauer or whatever his name, at 6K. It left a lot of money on the table. It left like 700 on the table. But again, Berger, Scheffler, Lowry as my anchor in a lineup.
So I like that one a lot better. And I think my reasoning behind that is I think everyone's going to go stars and scrubs this week, or not everyone, but a majority of people are going to go stars and scrubs. They're going to see, I got to get one of these top end guys. I got to get maybe even 2 of those top end guys. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom and hopefully I get lucky on some 6K guys. I don't think too many people being a WGC and being a non-cut event are going to go with a balanced lineup. So I don't mind that at all this week. I actually really like that lineup, to be honest with you.
I'm going to give you one more because what you said is something I'm really trying to do, because 2 weeks ago, the last lineups I did, one of my best lineups was the one I left 5,300 on the table. It cashed. Okay. I went with all 7K guys. So I couldn't go that low this week because I didn't like enough of the 7K guys. Mm-hmm. But I did build a lineup with 2,400 left on the table. Okay. I anchored it with Morikawa, the top guy. Okay. I went Brian Harman because I love Brian Harman this week. Kokrak and English. And then with less money left, I went Billy Horschel and Mickelson. I know you're not a big Mickelson fan this week, but Morikawa, Kokrak, Harman as my anchors with English, Horschel, and you're not happy with Mickelson part. 2,400 on the table is a lot. Yeah, but
I don't mind that.
I think it's a good balanced lineup that nobody's going to copy that lineup except for everybody watching the show right now.
Exactly, because they're going to try to win the $1 million. So of course, yeah.
Well, I
don't mind that one either. I think I like the second one better though.
Okay. All right. Let's get building the lineup here then. Let me get my player pool out and ready to roll here. Let me share this screen and get it up on the screen here. Live thing here. Here we go. Share screen. All right. There we go. So I get to go first. What's that?
You can go first.
Yep. As I said, Joakim Niemann. That's starting out my lineup for sure. No doubt about it. Going head-to-head, and most likely you're not going to copy any of my guys. But I'm going to take guys I know you like anyway. Fitzpatrick. Why can't I? All these weeks of doing this, and I still mess it up every time I do it. Brian Harman. So I got started Niemann, Fitzpatrick, Harman. Pretty mid-level there. Leaves me with 8,400 with 3 guys to go. I got to go cheap. I got to go light here. So I got to go towards the bottom here somewhere. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm going to go Kokrak too, because I do like Kokrak a lot. So it leaves me at 87. Now I definitely got to go cheap. I'm going to go with one of my 6K guys here. we're going to go with Wilcox just because you made fun of him and all.
Wilco?
What?
You didn't even call him the right name.
Wilcox, whatever. And then I get to go Morikawa.
There you go.
So look at that lineup right there, everybody. This is a lineup that is going to beat Jason for 3 rounds. And then on Sunday, he's going to take it over and beat me in the head-to-head matchup. Because since we started doing head-to-head matchups on this show, he's 2-0, and I'm 0-2. So,
all right, I'm going to go.
Clear this out real quick here.
Right. Let me know when you're good.
Clear it out. I don't want to enter that with a free ticket just yet. All right, here you go.
All right,
you're up.
I'm going to go Brooksy, and then I'm going to go with Connors.
Yeah, that's good. I should have gone.
I'm going to go.
The pressure picking a lineup, man.
All right, I'm going to go Sergio. Sergio.
All right.
I'm going to go my man Patrick Reed.
Okay.
And then I'm looking
that leaves you 76.50 with 2 spots to go.
I'm going to go Cam Davis.
You know, we're building a very well-balanced lineup here. 8,400 to go.
I'm going to put in – I'm not going to leave much money on the table. I'm going to go Abe Answer.
Answer? I love Answer this week. Good pick. Mm-hmm. I left some of my favorites for you. I took all the ones I thought you would like, but left all the ones I liked on the table.
In all fairness, I was going to pick Harmon, but then you picked Harmon, so I decided not to.
There you go. There you go. So that's Jason's lineup. Sure to beat mine on Sunday. Not in the first 3 rounds, though. I'm writing it down so you don't have to, text me later with all these lineups here. All right. So I know you already said it once that you love Patrick Reed to win this event. Is that one of your bets you've already made this week?
Yes. 40-1. Love those odds this week. I also bet DJ at 18-1 because I just feel like that number's too good for DJ. Mm-hmm. And then I have some top 10 bets as well. I have 5 that I play so far. I bet top 10 on Brooks.
Top 10?
I'm sorry, top 10s.
Okay, who are they?
Did I say top 5s? I meant top 10s.
I was trying to take notes at the same time.
Yeah. So I have top 10 bets on Brooks, Spieth, Cantlay, Scheffler, and Reed.
All right, understood. So, again, I haven't placed any bets yet. I've been behind the 8 ball all week, obviously. I'm looking at the odds right now as we do this show. So, I love the Bryson DeChambeau at 35-1. I don't think he's going to be a great fantasy play. I just can't get over that 35-1 number.
Worth a chance, yeah.
It's definitely a worthwhile value pick. And again, like I said, 9 out of the last 9 WGC stroke play events won by former major champions. 24 of the last 26 have been major champions. So that's where I'm looking. I love actually the Patrick Reed at 40-1. That's where he's at right this second. I think that has to be a bet as well. And then I'm going down these odds. If anybody else stands out as somebody to bet to win the event, I mean, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Sergio at 70-1 or Phil Mickelson at 90-1. But I think Bryson and Reed will be my only 2 outright bets I make. I'm looking at the top 10 list here on DraftKings Sportsbook. Sergio for sure, top 10, 450 plus 450. I like that. I mean, honestly, I'm not thrilled with the betting lines at all for this week.
I think it's hard too.
Because Jordan Spieth was 16 or 18-1, and now he's 12-1. He's my favorite to win the event. I think Jordan Spieth is the best bet to win, but 12-1 is just not enticing enough to me when you bet $1 or $2 a bet like I do. If I was betting 20 or 50 or 100, if I was making one of those Brian Oosthuizen bets, Spieth at 12-1 would be enticing. But I don't bet like that. I'm a baby better. So 12-1 doesn't give me any juice in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If anything, at 18-1, Dustin Johnson might be the former major winner that could come out and win this event.
So I forgot. So I actually have 3 outrights. So I have Reed and DJ, and I also bet Rory at 22-1. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Again, so I mean, just former major champion, 22-1. It kind of slides in with my Bryson theory. You're not getting major champions at odds like that very often. So
Right.
I think they're really smart plays.
100%.
All right. Before we wrap this shebang up, any final thoughts? Anything else to add to this event?
No, I just want to say thank you to our guest. No, never mind.
He's probably watching right now.
He probably is.
Yeah.
No, I think that's pretty much it. WGC events are always fun because of no cuts. But yeah, I think honestly, like we were talking about earlier, I think everybody's going to go stars and scrubs this week. So I think balance lineups could maybe possibly win you some money this week. So that's my tip of the week.
It's going to be really hard. I'm still going to do my 20 max entry in the quarter jukebox this week. But yeah, balanced lineups. Really try. It's really going to come down to picking the right guys in the 6 and 7K range. It really is, because it's so top heavy this event, and there's so many great plays in the top of this lineup. It's really going to come, and I think this week is going to be even more so important to leave money on the table to differentiate your lineups for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And can we please PGA Tour? Can we please get a Brooks and Bryson Saturday matchup?
Oh, that'd be so great.
Dude, I'll call out of work. I'm sure Melissa can hear me in the other room. I'm calling out of work if Brooks and Bryson are in a pairing together on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And on Sunday,
Definitely.
I ain't going nowhere on Sunday if they're in one of the final pairings together.
100%.
Yeah. They could be in the first pairing, the first group to tee off.
Yeah.
And I'm watching that.
Because if they're they could be in 20th place for all I care.
If PGA wants me to get their PGA Tour Live and pay for that subscription, they better put the two of those two guys together.
Yep. Do the right thing, PGA Tour.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Again, thank you, Jason, for coming in. Thank you to our special guest this week, the ghost of Christmas past here. I'm sorry, he'll never listen to our show ever again.
No.
This is DSM Media's Fairway to Heaven every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Make sure you're tapped into DSM Media. 8 shows plus going on right now, and that doesn't even count the post-game Eagles shows. That'll start once the season gets going. Make sure you're following all the guys on DSM Media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We're on TikTok. We're everywhere right now. So make sure you're following everybody and this network. This is 3.5 hours of shows in the last 4 hours for me. So I'm running on fumes right now. But don't forget, if you're tuning in still here, the DSM Media Eagles Tailgate, August 22nd at the link. The open practice for the Eagles at Sunday night at 7 p.m. 4 p.m., we're going to have a tailgate in the parking lot. We're going to do a live 3-hour show. We're going to be raffling off 3 pairs of tickets to the Eagles practice. We've got Devontae Smith rookie Eagles jersey to raffle off. All you got to do is show up, show that you're already subscribed to YouTube or subscribe on the spot, and you'll get entered to win those prizes. We're going to have free beer from Kenwood Beer. I'm bringing pizza from my pizza shop. We got special guests lined up to stop by. All different great things going on. So make sure you don't forget about it. Mark it down. We have a Facebook group, a Facebook event set up. Make sure you mark it down on the Facebook so that you don't forget about it. It's going to be a lot
who might show up either.
Jason's going to drive 8.5, 10, 12, 16 hours from Detroit.
I was going to say, you never know who might show up. No, I'm just
he's like, see here, I got my plane ticket here already. He just dropped a little nugget there. That would be hilarious, but that would be awesome. Anyway, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We got another special guest. Instead of the Ghost of Christmas Past, it'll be the Ghost of Christmas Future next week. So tune in for our event next week. Again, keep subscribing, liking, sharing. Let's go and let's make some money this week, everybody. Everybody have a great weekend. And peace out.
See ya.